Hi guys, I hope you're all well and welcome to episode 120 of the James Layton Fitness Podcast. Now in this specific podcast we'll be discussing some nutrition tips to apply within the muscle building phase. Now ironically the muscle building phase, because you'll be eating considerably more calories than a fat loss phase, this can actually be very challenging. A lot of people think that it should be easy to go into a muscle building phase because it's great eating all of this food. However, as calories continue to increase, it just becomes that much more difficult to essentially fit in enough calories within the day to create the energy surplus needed for muscle growth. And for those of that have been in a muscle building phase can hopefully relate to this. This isn't easy just because of the time it takes and the effort required to basically continue eating food even if you're not particularly hungry. So I'm going to discuss some strategies within this podcast that's really helped me personally and also some of my coaching clients. So first of all, we just need to appreciate that the most difficult factor within the muscle building phase is just getting in enough calories. Now for the most part, the protein and fat targets can be relatively straightforward to meet. The reason why is with regards to the protein target, this will stay constant within the muscle building phase, so that makes it simpler. It's not increasing like carbohydrates does and fats to a smaller degree, but because it stays fixed, it makes it relatively simple. In addition to that, you can always use your whey protein supplement as a tool to basically fill in the gaps. Anytime you're short of your daily protein target, you've always got this, and obviously this doesn't take any time at all to prepare. Similarly with the fat target, this is also relatively straightforward to meet as well. This will increase slightly within the muscle building phase, but nowhere near as much as carbohydrates. So that makes it simpler. It doesn't increase too significantly, but it's also relatively straightforward to meet as well, because things like oils, nuts, nut butters are all tools you can eat to basically use to meet this fat target, and therefore this requires very little prep and it's very straightforward to consume these foods, i.e. there's not a huge amount of food volume, whereas with some of the carbohydrate sources, to get in a decent amount of carbohydrates you're eating a lot of food, but because these oils, nuts, nut butters are so dense that you don't need a lot of them to really meet that fat target. So the carbohydrate target really is the most difficult to meet within the muscle building phase, and hopefully a couple of these tips will really help significantly. So one of the things I speak about within a fat loss phase, so the opposite of the muscle building phase, is trying to consume higher fiber carbohydrate sources. One of the reasons for this is to help to basically negate hunger within the fat loss phase. Trying to control hunger within the fat loss phase can be a real issue, and having more fibrous carbohydrates can really help significantly keep you fuller for longer and to keep hunger at bay. Additionally, another thing I talk a lot about is trying to focus more on food volume, trying to focus on these foods that have a large amount of volume compared to their calorie intake. So fibrous vegetables is a great example for both these, high in fiber, and also you can basically eat a lot of fibrous vegetables without actually making much of a dent into your calorie target. So that's a great tool to use in the fat loss phase. Lots of fibrous vegetables, typically foods that are higher in volume. Whereas in the muscle building phase, because getting in enough calories is so tough, and because getting enough carbohydrates can be really tough as well, I still want you to have lots of fruits and vegetables to meet your fiber targets and also to make sure you're not having any micronutrient deficiencies. It's worthwhile if it is becoming a difficult task getting enough calories and getting enough carbohydrates, actually focusing on carbohydrate sources that don't have the same volume, that are actually lower in fiber as well. So focusing on carbohydrate sources lower in food volume, lower in fiber, can really help significantly. And that means potentially having more processed carbohydrates within the muscle building phase at all. I'm not saying you should be allowing this to dominate the whole diet, but if you're eating sufficient fruits and vegetables, sufficient fiber, there's no reason why you can't have some more processed carbohydrates just to guarantee you're actually getting in enough calories. Because you're consuming lots of fruits and vegetables, because you're having lots of fiber, you're still going to be getting a lot of those health benefits at all. So don't be concerned concern with having some processed carbohydrates within the muscle building phase, just to guarantee you actually getting enough carbohydrates and enough calories, while also still making sure you're getting sufficient fiber, sufficient fruits and vegetables at all. So don't neglect that and just focus on lots of processed carbohydrates. Additionally, another tip that really will help is trying to drink some of your calories, because it just becomes so difficult to actually eat enough calories for growth. Drinking some of your calories can help significantly. So a good tip is to, within a blender, you could throw in lots of fruit, lots of oats, and you can easily have a high carbohydrate drink. You could also add in some proteins or some whey protein for flavor as well, but that's a great tip. Blend it up, drink it, and you can easily get a lot of carbohydrates from that drink as opposed to eating, because it just becomes, as I mentioned, it can be very difficult to eat all of your calories within the day. Another good tip is to focus on having more calories earlier in the day. This is the opposite of what I suggest in the fat loss phase. In the fat loss phase, a great way to negate hunger is to move more of your calories later in the day, because most people are typically more hungry in the evening as opposed to the mornings. But because within the muscle building phase it's just so difficult to get in enough calories, trying to spread your calories more evenly throughout the day can help you to get in those calories throughout the day, as opposed to just leaving a lot of calories later in the day, and therefore it's very difficult to consume those remaining calories within 1 to 2 meals. So hopefully that's been useful. Hopefully you can start applying some of those strategies. I know that helps me personally within a muscle building phase, and helps a lot of my coaching clients as well. If you're still yet to sign up to my free book, How to Set Up a Nutrition Plan, if you go to James Layton, Layton fitness.co.uk, you'll see a tab at the top of the page called free book, and you can download that immediately. I look forward to speaking to you next week. Thank you very much.